Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Korean Atlanta Mentorship. And I just want to say to you all, welcome to the 1000th video of this YouTube channel. So currently we're recording, and as of this recording, we're at 999 videos uploaded. So once we record this and upload it, it's going to be 1,000. So we got to do a little celebration. And how do we celebrate in this channel? Well, everything's just an excuse to do velocity banking. Am I right? Wink, wink. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. And we're going to do another velocity banking review. So, what is velocity banking? All it is a debt payoff strategy where you throw all of your money into debt with the help of something called a line of credit. And in order to do velocity banking, it's just two things. Number one, you need a budget. So you have your income, expenses, leftover savings. And then in your expense breakdown, you list every single debt that you have. And that here at the very end, you combine your expenses, your general expenses, right? Your food, gas, insurance. So anything that's not a debt, you just kind of put an average figure here, right? So we'll say we spend about $2,200 a month on general expenses. Now, if you take a look here, okay, you take a look here. Um, uh, our whole goal is to make sure that all of our debt eventually gets to zero, right? And we're going to do that with something called a line of credit. Okay. So now we've done our budget. So with velocity banking, we're assuming that we have the same income and the same expenses, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and do this and copy the income expenses. But the reason why people have such a hard time doing this is because you're not going to save money. Like, you're literally not gonna save money. So, there's gonna be a number called cash flow, and right now it's kinda, like, looking the same as a savings number, but we're gonna increase it. But we're literally not gonna save money, and this is the scariest part for most people because if you say, "Hey, what if" well, "What do you think is better? You saving $82 at least or not saving any money?" And they'll be like, "Oh, yeah, you should save money because what if you need it in emergencies," right? And what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the help of something called a line of credit to give us the ultimate power, flexibility, and control of our money. Okay. And so let me just kind of show you here about my checking account, which is so you can see I don't have any money saved or left over in my checking account. And then this is zero. And a lot of people can't handle it. Like, whoa, you don't have any money saved? Like, nope. And here's the other thing too. A lot of people don't understand this about debt. Like the average credit card debt in this country is like, I don't know, 6,000, $7,000 in this country. And the reason why that people or the reason why I'm explaining this is people think that banks want to lend money to people who are broke. And that's actually not true. They don't lend money to people who need it. They want to lend money to people who don't need your money right now, but once you start to need that money, they're like, "Uh-uh." And they don't want to deal with people who don't make any money at all, right? So the reason I say this because sometimes I get comments in the channels like, "Well, why don't you do a more realistic scenario or low income scenario?" First of all, this is kind of realistic because when you make good income, they want to lend you more debt, right? And also, let's say you even have a mortgage, okay? 90% of the people in this country can't get a mortgage. I don't know if you knew that, but 90% of people in this country cannot get a mortgage. So just the fact that you have a mortgage puts you in a, let's say, more top tier income bracket. All right. I don't know if you knew that or not, but that's essentially that's really what realistic is. More money, you get more mailers for debt, and then you get into debt, and then they stop sending you the mailers because it's like, whoa, this guy needs money, and we don't want to lend you more debt because you're too big of a risk. Right, that's what happens, especially in this situation. $82 left over. It's kind of pathetic, but it's kind of not because people don't know any alternatives, right? And that's what velocity banking is. So for this example, we're going to assume that we have a $120,000 line of credit. So, what's a line of credit? All it is a financial tool where you could borrow money, pay back, and then use it over and over again. That's all a line of credit is, right? Okay. So for example, a credit card is a line of credit, but it's not as flexible as a personal or home equity line of credit. So this is my home equity line of credit, $280,000. I can use it to pay anything. If I have a $50 bill due, like this says $50, you know what all I have to do? I just have to pull out the $50 and then put it back in, balance satisfied. or the amount due is satisfied. Isn't that crazy? So I didn't know these products existed before I did Velocity Banking, but I literally can go to a bank's website, click a button, and then they'll dump up to $280,000 into my checking account, right? At a 7.5% interest rate. And you take a look at here, once I got access to that line of credit, I was like, I can snap half my debt. I can snap with just a snap. It's all gonna disappear. Actually, it's not, but it'll feel like it. So let's go ahead and get started. And so we're going to assume we have access to a $120,000 line of credit. Now, a lot of people try to tell me in the comments, I don't know what I'm talking about when it talks about getting credit. And that's because people don't know what they don't know, right? But I right now I have $594,000 in lines of credit. 594,000, right? Which includes personal credit cards, business credit cards, personal lines of credit. You see like 15,000 personal lines of credit here, my $280,000 home equity line of credit. And here's the thing, you might be like, well, how do you get all this credit? I'm gonna tell you the secret that the bank doesn't tell you outright, right? It's not like they don't want you to know, but they kind of don't tell you outright. Or at least I don't think they don't want you to know. Or wait, let me say that again. At least I don't think they don't want. Yeah, I'm getting my language confused, double negatives, but you know what I mean. All right, so see, the secret is that banks don't lend money to people who need it. Right? And once you understand that, you'll know how to get the credit. Doesn't mean you're guaranteed to get the credit, but once you understand that concept, then one day you might get $594,000 in lines of credit like I do. But if you understand that secret that banks don't lend money to people who need it, that's pretty much that's how I got all this lines of credit. Now, let's assume we have $120,000 line of credit free and clear. Now, I'm not saying the bank will issue you one, you're going to have one. I'm just saying, what if you did have one? Okay, this is like here you crashed the car, but you didn't have an insurance policy. And then this line of credit is kind of like you getting the insurance policy after you crashed the car, even though you didn't have it when driving. You see what I'm saying? And so I'm gonna show you right here. So give me 1 second. So this is 27, 30, 50. And so let's say we moved the 3 credit cards into the line of credit. So we're doing a balance transfer, okay? That's all we're doing. And guess what happens to these payments when we do the balance transfer? Oh my goodness, these 3 go to 0. So this is the part where a lot of people's minds will explode because listen, 0 like when you hide this part, this cash flow part and just kind of hide it, can we hide it? Let me see. Hide row 5 and then just do a comparison of what a person can clearly see on their smartphone. $82 of savings left over in your checking account or 0 and like this one, oh, I got 0 savings. What do you think they'll prefer? This one, right? Because it feels good. This cash flow number you can't really see in your smartphone. It's a little bit hard, right? You got to calculate it from the next month's balance to the previous month's balance or the current balance from the previous month's balance. But now here comes the final step. Entire paycheck, entire $8,200 goes into the line of credit, and then you take your expenses out of the line of credit, all right? And then you rinse and repeat over and over again, and the balance of the line of credit will go down about $3,500, okay? And so now let's go ahead and do this. Okay, so G2 plus H2 minus 3528.87. So that's how we get the next month's balance, right? So to get the next month's balance, it's a previous month's balance interest minus our cash flow. And then what we do is we take the average daily balance, multiply it by the interest rate times 0.08, and then divide by 12. Okay, and then what we'll do is copy and paste, right? So you see that sucker going down about this plus the interest, right? You got to pay the interest for using the line of credit as your consolidation tool. Ultimate flexibility allows you to dump all of your money into the line of credit. And look at that. Look at that. Oh my goodness. That was so easy. I can't believe it. Wow. I can't believe it. All right. Can't believe it's not butter. Actually, what happened to that dude? Let me just do this. Can't believe. Yeah. It's not butter. Brand of margarine? Gross. Actually, yeah. Isn't margarines so isn't this one of those things that, like, was marketed as healthy and bad for you, kinda like Diet Coke, even though Coke is pretty bad? And no offense if you drink Diet Coke, but, Diet Coke is bad for you. Drink water, friends, or maybe the kombucha. Who knows? Maybe in like 10 years, they'll have like studies like saying kombucha is really bad for you. I feel like everything that's a health trend, like 10, 15 years later, they'll say it's awful for you, but it's okay. All right, let's go ahead and get started. All right, all right, so now month 34, 34 months. All right, so 34 months here, and then this is gonna be 107K, so that's three credit cards. And then now we have the loans, right? So notice that we're in the 26, 30, 25% interest rates, and now we're getting to the 3 to 4s, 5s, right? And so let's go to our loan calculator, and then with our loan calculator, we could type in the current month, so 34. Okay. Now notice that this is the highest interest rate, right? Highest interest rate. But what we're going to do is kind of semi-ignore this and use something called the cash flow index, which is just the balance of the loan divided by the monthly payment. And so what it does, it spits out an arbitrary number. And then the lower the number, so think this is a ranking system, the lower the number, that's the debt you want to pay off. So these are in the 20s, this is 70, and this is in 222. So the number means like, hey, the the amount that you get for paying off this debt, you get a significant amount of cash flow if this is low, right? So, if do you want to pay 30 grand for $424 of cash flow or 10 grand for about 400, right? Almost. So we'll pay these off first, the lower ranking numbers. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste, and then I'm going to get 1955, and this is going to be right here. All right, so now this is going to be 00, and then we got $4,000 of cash flow in our life. All right, and then now what we got to do is update our cash flow, which is 4310.93. And then in 39 months, it's all paid off. It's all paid off. All right, so 39 months. And then this is going to be 128K. And then now, okay, so we're in the student loan here, so 00. And then let's go ahead and do chunking with these loans. So what is chunking, right? So basically you just move a piece of the loan into the line of credit, right? And so why would you want to do that? Well, one of the things that you might notice is that if there's a significant difference between the loan interest rate and the line of credit interest rate, and this number is high, meaning, let's say you move a $281,000 loan and only got $1,200 of cash flow back, right? That's a very small amount of cash flow. Okay, so that's why sometimes when we have lower interest rates and we have that low CFI, it's not it's not the worst thing in the world to move those into the line of credit. But when we deal with higher interest rates, or I'm sorry, a high difference of interest rates and a high cash flow index, um, we don't necessarily want to move the thing into a line of credit. Just if we do it in pieces, you'll notice that there's a big difference. All right, so let me go ahead and open this up. So this is a velocity banking calculator provided by Renatus. Full disclosure, this whole YouTube channel is just me to funnel people into me selling them educational products as an independent contracting marketer. So that you might want to learn a few things, not just velocity banking, but other things too. But if you become a Renata student, you might get this calculator, but people just want the calculator and they don't want no edumacation. So whatever. All right, so let's go ahead and what am I doing? I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just kidding. Type in these numbers. So right here, right? So 40,000 at 5%, 40,000 at 5%. And then, right here, which is 3611.98. 3611.98. And then 10 years. And then this is going to be 424.26. and then 8% line of credit, and then no. What am I even doing? What am I even doing? No, I'm just kidding. All right. So what's our current income? It's 8,200, which is an excellent income. Excellent income. By the way, I was like watching some YouTube videos and there's like TikTok compilations of nurses freaking out how much they hate their job. So maybe I might react to that. And I know that I have some nurses watching this channel too. You probably know better than me, you know what I mean? Like, all right, so let's go ahead and do 3464.81. So what am I doing here? 3464.81. And so let me just do a quick comparison of moving the whole thing into the line of credit. So that's $631 versus what we call chunking, which is just like moving a piece of the loan into the line of credit. So 495, right? So half a year, 0.5 years. So chunking, especially if there's an interest rate difference, will pretty much win. So let me just do this 0.5 years. So this is going to be half a year. This is going to be 0. And then that'll be 39 plus 6, which is going to be 45 months. And then this is going to be 128 plus 168K. All right. So, what am I even doing here? Now I just got to do the 30-year mortgage, right? So, let's see the 30-year mortgage at 45 months. What's the deal? 45, 0, 1264.81, 33, 1264.81. All right, so 300,000, 300,000, 275,512.41, 275,512.41. And then, what am I missing? Okay, so now I think this is just going to be 2,200. So in the expenses, you just put everything that you're paying, except for the payment of the loan, right? And then you see right here, 4.1 years. Whoa, 4.1 years. That's amazing, isn't it? Except, let me go ahead and flex. I paid off my mortgage in 2 years and 9 months. Right here, right here. 2 years and 9 months. Wow, are we almost at a year's anniversary? Just 3 more months until like it's been paid off. Like mind blown, right? Am I right, boys? Am I right? Wink, wink. All right. So, but it feels so surreal. Like, man, time goes by really fast. It just kind of shows you, like, you know, you think like paying off your mortgage in 2 years and 9 months will change your life, but actually what happens, it just becomes Tuesday, you know? You ever watch that from Street Fighter the movie? I'm quoting John Claude. No, not John Claude Van Damme. Raul Julia. Is it Raul Julia? Is that how you say it? Raul Julia. Anyways, all right, so 4.1 years, and I'm gonna do this right here. So this is 0, and then this is gonna be 45 divided by 12 plus 4.1, and then 7.85 years. We are debt free. Remember, folks, I've seen advertisements about Velocity Banking be mortgage free 7 to 10 years. We're not mortgage free 7 to 10 years. We're debt free in 7.85 years, and the mortgage was paid off in 4.1 once we started focusing on the mortgage. Okay. Well, that's it for today, folks. This is Korean Atlanta Mentorship. So have a great day. We're at the 1,000th video. This is literally going to be the 1,000th video that I upload onto this channel. And once we get to 10,000 or 100,000, man, it's clickbait galore. Clickbait galore. And people will watch these videos and then they'll be curious, like, what is this? And then they'll be looking at this like, what the did I waste my life? It's called the Velocity Banking Poker Face Shock, right? That you don't show any emotion when you see this, but you're hooked, right? Because this is where the crack, Velocity Banking crack effect comes in. Okay, well, that's it for today, folks. Have a great day, and I'll see you on the next video.